We about to start. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's Holy Sabbath Day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We all know how these things work when we get close to our holy days. We know that there's more and more turmoil that appears in our lives, understanding that the adversary is not happy about us walking in the things that is pleasing unto Yahweh. So there's more and more distractions the closer we get to these holy days. But it truly is a blessing to be able to have some form of understanding and to be able to keep the things that are dear unto Yahweh. For Yahweh is a spirit, and he seeketh such to worship him in truth and in spirit. But before we get started, brother, would you read the oracles and entreat the angel that stands at the door to come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may make this a holy convocation by the angel's presence.
1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Messiah also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you up on earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. As it is written, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Elohim. This rebirth allows us to officially become a part of Yahweh's family. This rebirth also causes us to look at and deal with things in a different manner than before. Yahweh blessed all the loins of Jacob and changed his name to Israel. So in this day and time, we have the physical descendants of Yaakov, Jake, and then there are those that allow themselves to be born again and become Israel. As it is written, they are not all Israel that are of Israel. As we get closer and closer to the redemption of the children of Israel, the infighting between Israel will grow tremendously. These battles will accomplish the separation between Israel and Jake. As it is written, I will purge out from among you the rebels. These rebels will be Israel in the flesh, but Jake in the heart. Let's begin today's sermon in Matthew chapter 21, and we're going to read verses 28 through 32. See, we have a lot of things floating around, and a lot of people have these Israel tribal breakdown charts, and people have gotten into this whole Israelite pep rally where they chanting tribes, and they have no idea what tribe they really belong to. But they're getting into all of these things, and when it gets right down to it, unless we, as it is written, Yahweh is a spirit, and he seeketh such to worship him in truth and in spirit. Our fathers was natural Israel. It didn't help them. What do you think gonna help us? Matthew chapter 21, and let's start that at verse 28.
But what think you? A certain man had 2 sons. And he came to the first and said, Son, go work today in my vineyard. He answered and said, I will not. But afterward he repented and went.
Right. Now, these 2 sons here, a certain man had 2 sons. He came to the first and said, Son, go work today in my vineyard. He answered and said, I will not. But afterward he repented. So we have past lives. Well, we didn't do the things that we were supposed to do, but afterward we repent. Go ahead.
And he came to the second and said likewise. And he answered and said, I go, sir, and went not.
So now this other son is the one who appears to be the nice one. He appears to be better than the other one because he got all the nice words. Oh, yes, sir, I go. Yes, my Lord. Oh, yes, I'm on my way. And he don't show up at all. Go ahead.
Whether of them 2 did the will of his father? They say unto him, the first. YHWH saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that the publicans and the harlots go into the kingdom of Elohim before you.
Consider that. The publicans and the harlots will go into the kingdom before you. Why? It's not the way they lived their lives in the past. It's about when they repent and change. But you have those that may appear as though they are doing what they're supposed to do, but they do it lightly. See, Yahweh not going to play those kind of games. What we have here, we have to understand that Israel had to enter into the body of a fleshly man and give up his life for this creation of man. You're not going to do this. You're not going to fake at it. So you got those who say all the things. They say, oh, glory, hallelujah, praise Yah, Shabbat Shalom. They say all those things. But when it comes time to go to the vineyard and work, they not doing what they supposed to be doing. Go ahead, finish it up.
Matthew chapter 21 and verse 32. For Yohanan came unto you in the way of righteousness, and you believed him not. But the publicans and the harlots believed him.
You see that? See, even in the belief, they didn't believe the one who was really sent. They said, yeah, but the ones that y'all talking about, the little publicans and whores in the street, they believed him. Now, how they believe him, but you didn't. Because remember, it says, my sheep hear my voice. Are you able to hear the voice of Yahweh, though it came from a man? Or do you have such indignation for that man that you can't hear Yahweh's word? And that's why Yahweh gonna poison you every time. That person you got the biggest thing against, that's why Yahweh gonna put that word in. Say, man, have Sock call such and such and warn him. No. They like Sock. Don't have Sock do it. Have that guy do it. because they got a problem with him. Had him called. Right. Go ahead. You finish that?
And you, when you had seen it, repented not afterward, that you might believe him.
Mm-hmm. And what they don't understand is people believe that they are rejecting man, and what they're doing is they are rejecting Yahweh. Yahweh is we're talking King of Kings, and it gets to the point where when you want to see who is really true, you don't expose your power right away. There are situations where people have been rich, and after so long of them being rich, they realize that everybody pretend to be their friend. So then you have situations where there are rich people who act as though they didn't have any money, just so they can see how other people would treat them. Because everybody treated them nice when they realized that they were rich. Yahweh is saying, the earth and the fullness therein belongs to Yahweh. So what Yahweh will do, he'll hide his substance to see if you truly are about him. See, there are certain ones who they have not seen the power of Yahweh, so they don't know to fear Yahweh, because he hasn't shown them his power. Let's go to Romans chapter 8. And one thing you have to get out of this whole thing of the two sons, understand, it tells us that those angels are sons of Elohim, and those angels had to go and make their appearance with the rest of the sons, and Lucifer came also. So when you deal with these two sons, understand when you read these things, and it's talking about Yahshua, and then the adversary, the devil, came to resist him, understand who the two sons are. Understand what's going on. Lucifer knew when Israel entered into that body. So he wanted to question him. Yeah, I know you. I know who you are. Remember, now the devils even knew who he was. He said, hush. Don't tell nobody. Just come out of him and don't say nothing else. They don't need to know who I really am. The demons knew who he was. So Lucifer knew who he was, but Lucifer also knew you created flesh, but you ain't never been in it. See, you don't know the limitations of this fleshly thing. So I'm going to see if I can test you with the limitations of this flesh. You ain't never felt hunger like this. You ain't never felt desire like this, because you ain't never been in flesh. It's a different thing from creating something and then being in it. There's people who have read all about wars. Yeah, that's something altogether different till you hear a bullet go by your ear. Go, shoof! And you hear that whistle of a bullet go by your ear. Oh, it's something altogether different. You can read about war all day long and say, oh, yeah, man, I know about war. Right. You ever been in a hole, a muddy hole, while somebody walk above you looking for who else is living while they go ahead and shoot the rest of it? Yeah, okay. Well, then we had that conversation. You know, you reading about war, it's something altogether different. That's why I tell people, when you deal with them Vietnam vets and them folks, man, them folks done been through some serious stuff. That's why half of them, when they come back home, they ain't quite right. And America talk that thing, oh, we support our troops. Yeah, you support them as long as they shooting at other people. But as soon as they come home, they leave them, and they don't do nothing for them. Romans chapter 8, and let's read verses 14 through 19.
Verse 14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of Elohim, they are the sons of Elohim.
So now mortal men have the opportunity to be the sons of Elohim. Go ahead.
For you have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of Elohim.
The Spirit itself bears witness with our spirit. That means we are walking one another on one accord with the word. Not what we think, feel, and believe, but it's on one accord according to what's written. Go ahead.
And if children, then heirs, heirs of Elohim, and joint heirs with the Mashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together.
Right. And if you're going to suffer with him, if you start dealing with Yahshua and stop dealing with Jesus, you going to suffer. Because the Jesus lovers have a problem. They can't deal with this word in its. People have loyalty that makes no sense whatsoever. It's like one of the simplest things. The J ain't even old enough to even have his name be Jesus. It doesn't add up. The J ain't but 600 years old. This is 2016. It's simple mathematics. That can't be his name. But loyalty and carnal flesh will cause you to stay in some of the most god-awful situations, and especially when people attach their feelings, it don't matter what common sense says, because they have attached their carnal belief to these things. And we're talking about intelligent people. I'm not talking about, no bunch of people who can't read. I'm talking about PhD having people that understand the alphabet and understand that this couldn't possibly have been that way. They don't care. Once they attach their feelings to it. See, now you start to see the difference between Israel and Jake. See, Jake, it's certain things Jake ain't gonna change. Because Jake just done got used to this is what it's gonna be, and this is the way I'm gonna ride this thing out. Go ahead.
Romans chapter 8 and verse 18. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim.
Right. It's waiting for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. So the sons of Elohim are not just that, oh, we are Israel. No, it's bigger than that. It's deeper than that. Let's jump to chapter 9 and start that at verse 1.
I say the truth in the Mashiach, I lie not, my conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Ghost, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from the Messiah for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh.
Right, according to the flesh, they all are the same. From Christ, for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh. Go ahead.
Who are Israelites.
Yeah, but go to the average person and ask them, tell them, they said, what are you? Say, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. What's that? Wait a minute. You don't know that Christ was a Hebrew Israelite? How you don't know that? They've been going to church 30 years. How is it you don't know that? Go ahead.
To whom pertaineth the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of Elohim, and the promises.
Right. So in other words, the Israelites have the authority. He said, from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites. Then he turns around and gives you all the authority that was given to the Israelites. Why would you want to be anything else? The other stuff don't have no authority. When they ask kids when they're little, what you want to be when you grow up? You ever heard any one of them say, I want to be a crackhead? You ever heard any one of them shoot low? You ever heard them shoot low? I ain't never heard them shoot low. What you want to be? I just want to exist. What? What are you talking about? You want to exist? You ain't never heard no kid say that. Why would you want to be anything else? Now this is the New Testament. We're not reading some part of the Old Testament that people can say, oh man, you're reading that old stuff. This New Testament. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, the Messiah came.
And of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ came. So the physical body that was prepared for the spirit of Israel to enter into was brought forth through the Hebrew Israelites. But every time they show us something, they show us a white boy with blue eyes with the long permed hair. Go ahead.
Who is over all, Elohim blessed forever. Amen. Not as though the word of Elohim had taken non effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel.
They are not all Israel which are of Israel. So you can get caught up into this camp rivalry and all of these other things, and you can go get caught off into chanting, the tribe you think you from. That ain't gonna get you in them gates. That ain't gonna get you into that holy city. That ain't gonna get you with Yahshua. But you can go ahead and get your chant on. Maybe you was a jock in high school and you like them pep rallies. That ain't gonna get you in here though. Go ahead.
Romans chapter 9 and verse 7. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Esau shall your seed be called. That is, they which are the children of the flesh. These are not the children of Elohim.
Right. These of the flesh are not the children of Elohim. So having this, and man, they got a tribal breakdown chart that some of these brothers are passing around, and it includes almost everybody on the earth. Everybody Israel. But when we go through Deuteronomy 28 and start reading them curses, ain't none of them people went through it. Well, wait a minute now. How you get to be Israel, but you didn't go through any of these curses? Show me your slavery. Show me the yoke of iron that was put around your neck. We can show you ours. But according to their little breakdown tribal chart, everybody Israel. Right. Go ahead.
But the children of the promise are counted for the seed. For this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Esau, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the promise of Elohim according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth.
So there's a period, there's a situation that presents itself where some are just destined to do what they're going to do. Not of works that later on that this one did so many good things that he got accepted, and this one did so many bad things that he wasn't accepted. It's just something, and this is hard for some people to grasp. There are some people that's just born for the lake of fire. I know that is so hard for people to grasp. And there's other people that it is their job to deal with salvation, and no matter what happens, they're going to be in the Word. They have this thing called they call it the God gene, that seems to be in certain people who have a religious drive, and they can't really figure out what it is. But in a lot of the people who are just motivated to grow in the Word, they have this same gene. Go ahead.
Verse 12. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
Right. He hated him before he did anything, because he knew his ways. He knew the spirit of him already. Go ahead.
What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with Elohim? Elohim forbid.
Right, because if you listen to too much of them Sunday morning people, they tell you God is love. He loves everybody. Not according to my book. According to my book, he hate people that ain't got here yet. I hate you. But he not born Yahweh yet. I already hate him. But see, they give you the nice God. God don't get angry. That ain't what my book say. My book say he get angry. My book said he get jealous. He said, I'm a jealous Elohim. I don't know who this little nice God they have on Sunday morning, but he airbrushed, he polished. He's a smashing guy. He don't get mad at nobody. You can do whatever you want. And that Sunday God, he don't get mad. You still gonna go to heaven. Why not? Creflo said, you can have sex with all the women in this church. You still gonna go to heaven. Now what the hell that's at in this book? Right. That Sunday God. Keep telling people, this ain't your mama God. You want to do what you want to do? Put your book down. Go back home, get you some rest. Show up tomorrow, wherever they going to be at. That God lets you do whatever you want to do. And up to them, you still get to go to heaven. Now, according to my book, no man has ascended unto heaven except he who came down from heaven. But according to Sunday morning stuff, you get to go to heaven and you can be all kind of hellions and do whatever it is you want to do. My God don't allow that. You don't get to do whatever you want to do. It's rules in the company you work for. It's rules at the YMCA. You don't think Yahweh got no rules? Go ahead, man.
Romans chapter 9 and verse 15. For he said to Moshe, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I'll have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then is it not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of Elohim that showeth mercy. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised you up, that I might show my power in you, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth.
Right. Pharaoh gave Israel hell. You got to understand, there might be some that was raised up in your life to give you hell, just so Yahweh can show his power in you. You keep trying to avoid the hell, and everywhere you go, here come hell, right? I'm telling you, move fast, hell move faster. You just run, here come hell. Where we going? Come on, man, I'm trying to go by myself. No. No, Yahweh attached me to you. So wherever you go, you stop running, hell bump into the back. You get away from me, hell. I've been assigned to you. Right, that's hell's job. But Yahweh gonna show his power in you through the hell that you keep trying to run away from. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Therefore has he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will he hardeneth. You will say then unto me, why does he yet find fault? For who hath resisted his will?
There's some that will not ever change their position no matter what information they are shown. They think that it is in them to stay that way. It says, whom he will, he hardens. There are some people, their heart is so hardened that they will not ever receive this word, and they think that they have made that decision. But Yahweh has made that decision because he already know their spirit. Go ahead.
Nay, but, O man, who are you that repliest against Elohim? Shall the thing formed say unto him that formed it, why have you made me thus? Has not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? What if Elohim, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction?
Vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. Go ahead.
And that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory, even us, whom he hath called, not of the Yehudis only, but also of the Gentiles. As he saith also in OC, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved.
Right. Now this has, of course, presents another problem when you have some of these real angry Hebrew Israelite groups who says the only people who going to get their salvation is Israel. The Gentiles are not going to make it in the kingdom. That's not what my book say. Yahweh created all flesh. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living Elohim. Esaias also crieth concerning Israel, though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved.
Though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved. Only true Israel is going to be saved. Jake going to die by the wayside. Jake ain't going to make it. But what has to happen is it has to be proven who is Israel and who's Jake. Because Jake don't think he's Jake. See, there's the wise virgins and the foolish virgins. The foolish virgins think they was just as good as the wise. Till it got dark and they ain't had no oil. They didn't figure that out until midnight. The whole time they think we just like you. No, you ain't just like us. No, we just like you. All right. And they get dark. Hey, let me borrow some of your oil. Oil is a symbol of the spirit. I can't let you borrow my spirit, man. What I look like letting you borrow my spirit? I'm hearing voices here. Hold on, y'all. Let me mute this. right, brother, go ahead, read.
Romans chapter 9 and verse 28. For he will finish the work and cut it short in righteousness, because a short work will the Adonai make upon the earth. And as Isaiah said before, except the Adonai of Sabbath had left us a seed, we had been as Sodom and been made like unto Gomorrah. What shall we say then? That the Gentiles, which followed not after righteousness, have attained to righteousness, even the righteousness which is of faith. But Yisrael, which followed after the law of righteousness, has not attained to the law of righteousness. Wherefore? Because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law.
Right, so they want to bypass Yahshua, and they want to go still deal with this animal sacrifice. Go ahead.
For they stumbled at that stumbling stone. As it is written, Behold, I lay in Zion a stumbling stone, a rock of offense, and whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed.
Right, and people like to believe that they can, that if I would have been back in the days of Christ, I would have believed in Christ. Right. We talking about a moving preacher with no church. You would have believed in him. Right. Right. People have a little bit higher thought of themselves than they really. Some people look in the mirror and they see a smashing person. They really don't see the same person that everybody else see. Right. We like to believe. Hey, all I can say is I'm glad I wasn't in that time. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 19. Matthew chapter 6, and let's read verses 19 through 34. Because at some point you have to start dividing this line here of trying to figure out who is Israel and who's Jacob. Go ahead.
Verse 19. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon the earth, where moth and rust does corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust does corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light. But if your eye be evil, your whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in you be darkness, how great is that darkness? No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve Elohim and Mammon.
Right. If you're going to deal with Yahweh, you're going to have to make a decision as to who's going to be the director in your life. If you're going to let man and the thing that man likes and the things that man approves direct your life, then Yahweh is not your Elohim. So there's going to have to be some decisions made there. Go ahead.
Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body, what you shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Behold, the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are you not much better than they? Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit onto his stature? And why take you thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you, that even Shlomo in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore, if Elohim so clothe the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or whether withal shall we be clothed? For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that you have need of all these things. But seek you first the kingdom of Elohim.
Seek you first the kingdom of Elohim. And this is where you're going to run into a problem with Jake. Because Jake is going to be upset that you are putting the things of Elohim before the natural things of man. So this is where you're going to run into more and more problems with Jake. Israel is going to seek first the kingdom of Elohim. And as you start to take care of Yahweh's business, you'll sit back and watch him take care of yours. Because see, you think you know how to take care of your business. Everybody think they do. Everybody think, well, I'm going to take care of this myself. Right, you've been doing that for a long time. How's it working out for you? Right. Go ahead.
And his righteousness and all these things shall be added unto you. Take therefore no thought for tomorrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof.
All right, let's go to Matthew chapter 12. Matthew chapter 12. And let's read verses 46 through 50. Now the title of this, what they broke this down in, it says the new relationships. Now check this out. Go ahead.
Verse 46. While he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brethren stood without, desiring to speak with him. Then one said unto him, Behold, your mother and your brethren stand without, desiring to speak with you.
Now, this is Christ now. Go ahead.
But he answered and said unto him that told him, Who is my mother, and who are my brethren?
Say that and folk gonna swear down you in a cult.
Wait, who, you in a cult? What you talking about? You don't love your mama? You don't love your mama? What kind of cult tell you not to love your mama? That's the devil, ain't that but the devil?
Right, so Christ the devil?
Well, that ain't what I said.
Yes, the hell you did. These Christ words. You got a problem with them? You ain't got a problem with me. You got a problem with the God of Israel. That's who you got a problem with. Then go ahead and be man enough and say what you got a problem with. But it's easy to say, I got a problem with that brother right there. See, folk ain't going to be real with you and say, oh, I got a problem with your God. Go ahead and be honest about it. You don't like this word. That's where the line starts to draw between Israel and Jacob. Go ahead.
And he stretched forth his hand toward his disciple and said, Behold, my mother and my brethren.
See, this my mother and my brethren. All right. We all walk on one accord. See, not people used to tell you back in the days, what they used to tell you? Blood is thicker than water. Right. The blood of Yahshua is much thicker than the water of my natural relationship. Read.
For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother.
Brother and sister and mother. So Yahweh has a whole new, it's talking about these new relationships. Jake not going to allow that to happen. Only Israel is going to do that. And see, it's going to be a problem because, see, Jake got people that they really love and they just really want those people to be a certain way and they want this and they want that. You can want that all you want. But at the end of the day, a man going to have to make a decision within himself whether or not he's going to be Israel or just say, hey, I'm Jake. And ain't nobody going to tell you they Jake. They actually going to tell you they Jake. Let's go to Matthew chapter 10. See, this is why I say, a lot of people say, you know, if we would have been back in those days, we would have not done anything to Christ. Right. Read some of these words. And I'm just straight read the words of Yahshua. And you're going to find, boy, some people going to have some problems. They tell you how much they love him. Okay, start reading their words. Matter of fact, you just say the words, but don't say that it came from Christ. Because half the time, people, they don't know. They just say. It's easy for them to say, oh, I love the Lord. Right. Turn around and quote something he said. And watch them jump on you. Then tell them, well, you do know that was Christ, the one you said you love. That said that, right? That wasn't me that said salvation is of the Jews. That wasn't me. That was him. You got a problem with that. You don't have a problem with me. You got a problem with him. Go ahead, brother.
Where we start, verse 1?
Matthew 10, start at verse 32.
Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven.
Right. And Yahweh going to give you plenty of opportunities to confess Yahshua. And it's not that you're going to be in a place where you're trying to confess Yahshua. You're going to be placed in a situation where other people are confessing what they believe in, what they think, what they feel, and how they think things ought to go. Yahweh is putting you in that situation so that you will be able to confess Yahshua. Go ahead.
But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Think not that I came to send peace on the earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword.
Right, hold on now. God is love. Hold on now. Hold on. See, you see the contradiction now? See, he's so loving. He just loves everybody. Think not that I am come to send peace on the earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Now somebody lying. Go ahead.
For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law.
All you got to do is tell him you ain't coming to the Easter egg celebration, and there's variance against you and your mama and your father.
What you mean? It was good enough for you before? Well, all of a sudden now you done read a few passages out of the Bible. Now you all this now. Man, you all brand new. Huh? Now you can't come over with your family and eat a little bit of what you said.
Right. Now they got a problem with you. Because see, now they think they taking it personal. See? That's what Jake does. Jake taking it personal. That you're not showing up to their events. So now you putting them under. No, I'm just putting things in the right order. It's my Elohim first. And my Elohim is a very jealous Elohim. So I can't go worship your strange bunny that layeth eggs. It's not even possible that your bunny layeth eggs. But they still get mad when you don't show up. Because we make traditions out of the most god-awful things. So now it is a tradition to go and do those things. So now you are the problem because you are not going with tradition. Yeah, but your tradition is worshiping the devil. I can't follow your tradition. So Yahweh gonna make you choose. Yahweh gonna make you make a decision. You gonna care about that physical thing, or you gonna be born again in the spirit? See, the one thing it says, unless a man be born again, he shall not enter into the kingdom. Unless a man be like these children. Children can be taught. It's hard to teach old dog new tricks. Because see, once we get set in our ways, we say, hey, I'm over the hill. I'm just trying to coast back down. I ain't trying to learn nothing new. So it's hard to even find older people who will even deal with this word. They ain't trying to change. Because to most people, it doesn't work for me, thus far. Our thing of working mean we ain't dead. So we think it worked. Now it's not working, boo-boo.
No, it's working. I'm still living.
It's not working, boo-boo. No, it's working. I'm living. Boo, it's not. Trust me. I'm looking at your life. It's not working. Go ahead.
Verse 36. And a man's foe shall be they of his own household.
You man enough for it? You Israel enough for it? A man's foe shall be they of his own household. Are you Israel enough to deal with Jake? But get your life right. Go ahead.
He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me.
Say that and I guarantee you they'll accuse you of being in a cult. Just go ahead and say it. The same people who tell you how much we love the Lord. He that loves father and mother more than me is not worthy of me. Where did you get that crap? I got it from Christ. Oh, I didn't read that. Right. See, some people even got a problem now that it says father before mother. Because see, that ain't how things done in this land. It's, yeah, man, I'm going to see my mom and my daddy. You going to see your mom and your daddy? Yeah. How many people you say, I'm going to see my dad and my mom? Right. Read, bro.
And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his burdens and followeth after me is not worthy of me.
Right. So if you get to the point where other things get put in front of Yahweh, then you are not worthy to be a disciple of Yahshua. But understand, all the while you're doing that, you may be getting pressed by Jake to rearrange the order of your life. What you gonna do? Go ahead.
He that findeth his life shall lose it. He that loseth his life for my sake shall find it.
Right. See, this incorporates change. See? He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loses his life for my sake shall find it. The one thing when it starts talking about being like these children can be taught, which means they change things. See? These old dogs don't want to learn new tricks, but there's certain things that we have to go, as we get in this word, we may have to examine some things that we've been doing forever. I used to have this thing. That means sometimes being able to really look in the mirror and see yourself. I would always misplace stuff, and my automatic thing was, somebody done stole my such and such. Somebody done stole my, who done stole my Walkman? My Walkman was right here. Well, it never does occur to you that at some point you ticking other people off, because now you're accusing them. Because, you know, eventually it ain't nothing but two people in the place. And you said, somebody done stole my wallet. So, you know, the person is like, wait a minute. I'm the only person here. So now you accuse me of being a thief? And the whole thing was, I just lost the damn thing. I don't forgot why I put it. So then now, I got to rearrange how I start doing that. At least I start making accusations to people for stuff that I forgot. That means this whole thing of being born again takes forever. You don't just become born again because you got dipped in the water and everything gonna magically change about your life like some kind of Hebrew leprechaun just jumped out of the water. Hey, shiver me timbers, we're gonna clean your... What? No, that don't work. No, you're gonna work and toil for this. This is not going to be something, but if you already set in your ways, because I hear people saying all the time, I was like this. He knew I was like this when he married me. Right. And that's why you divorce. Read, man. Because these folks don't think they need to change. There should be growth in everybody. Go ahead. You ain't supposed to be the same in the word as you were. I know, bro. I just keep telling you to read, and then I just cut you out. You know what I'm talking about? But you ain't supposed to be the same now as you were 5 years ago. There should be some growth in you. Okay, this time, go ahead, for real.
Matthew chapter 10 and verse 40. He that receiveth you receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he that receiveth a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward.
Right. You have to be careful how you treat people. See, Miriam was like, Moshe was her brother, and she had some indignation about the woman he married. Right. And Yahweh hit her with leprosy. See, people think, well, this is my natural family. Yahweh don't care nothing about that. Moshe was a servant, and she decided she was going to run off at the mouth. It wasn't very good for her. It didn't work out well in her favor. Go ahead. Did you finish that?
And whosoever shall give to drink one of these little ones a cup of cold water only in the name of a disciple, verily I say unto you, he shall in no wise lose his reward.
Likewise, some people get benefits by doing good to you. And don't think they don't know that. Whoever bless Israel shall be blessed. So some folk know they not going to follow the God of Israel. But they might, look here, do that. I'm going to give this to you. Because I know your God going to bless me for blessing you. But I can't worship your God because he has too many rules. Right. Let's go to Matthew chapter 4. There's a whole lot of of people say they love Christ. They love Christ. I'm trying to tell you, start reading some of these words. You're going to find out people don't love Christ like they say they do. You see, he says, those that deny me before men. There are people that deny him and don't even know they're denying him because they denying his ways. They denying the things that he has set in motion. They've already denied him before men. See, they misunderstood the whole thing of the Sabbath when they was pushing and pressing him about the Sabbath. They didn't understand. Hey, these disciples that's behind here, those are priests. The priests profane the Sabbath and are held blameless. Why? Because they work on the Sabbath. Ain't nobody else supposed to work on the Sabbath, but priests work on the Sabbath. I can't come in here and sit in the chair, all right. Oh, I got a job to do. Regular people get to rest on the Sabbath. Priests don't get to rest on the Sabbath. They didn't understand that those disciples were priests. If he the high priest, what you think it make the people under him? Under priests. And you ain't even need a PhD to figure that out. Go ahead, bro.
We start verse 1.
We at Matthew 4?
Yes.
Start at verse 18.
And Yahshua, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brethren, Simeon called Cephas and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. And he saith unto them, Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And they straightway left their nets and followed him.
Now, you know the people, this is their jobs, this is their physical way of feeding themselves. And here come Yahshua, said, come follow me. And they immediately dropped everything else. But people try to tell you that your priorities are wrong. Go ahead.
And going on from thence, he saw other two brethren, Jacob the son of Zebedee, and Johanan his brother, in a ship with Zebedee their father, mending their nets, and he called them.
So they in this fishing business with their daddy. So this family business. Go ahead.
And they immediately left the ship and their father and followed him.
Now, this caused family problems right here. Now, you can understand. He's like, hey, wait a minute, my two boys. We talking a father and his two boys, and then they just leave him. Then he's like, wait a minute, man, this family business. You gonna leave the family business to follow this Joshua? Who did to do this? Who did? You gonna leave me? Look at all these nets. Who gonna gather up these fish now? I'm old. I trained y'all to do this. You just gonna leave the family business? Jake would have fell under pressure. All right, Yahshua, I can't go. I got to take care of this thing with my dad. But Israel would have said and did what they did. I got to be about my father's business. Go ahead, bro.
They just showed who they love more.
Exactly. Whoever loves father and mother more than me is not worthy of me. See? And Yahweh going to give you that opportunity. If you ain't got yours yet, just hold what you got. Your turn coming. Don't worry. Yours coming. Everybody going to have to make it. Because you're not going to waltz into Yahweh's kingdom. You're going to have to make that decision. Johanan, chapter 4. Did you finish that? Should be going to verse 22.
Yeah, that was it.
All right, let's go to Johanan chapter 4. Johanan chapter 4. And let's start that at verse 21.
I was just going to say, you know, in the same token, we're looking at the family business, and we don't consider Yahshua growing up under Yosef, who was a carpenter. Technically speaking, that would have been his firstborn. You'd have expected him to follow into carpentry as well, but we can see from age 12 what he was about. So he would have been learning carpentry, as we've been told. What they said, he built subdivisions.
Yeah. but you look at it. He was doing his father's business, just not the natural one. See, if he would have followed in the line of the natural father, then he would have kept doing the carpentry. But he was doing Yahweh's business. So he was following in tradition, being about what his father was about, his real father. Go ahead.
What verse?
Johanan chapter 4, and let's start at verse 21.
Yahshua saith unto her, Woman, Believe me, the hour cometh when you shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Yehudis.
Say that to somebody and watch how ticked off they get. Go ahead.
But the hour cometh, and now is when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth.
In spirit and in truth. So if you're going to worship the Father in spirit and in truth, that means it's not going to be according to what you think, feel, and believe, or according to what your organization said. If your organization says something that ain't in this book, your organization is wrong. But if you into that pep rally style worship, then you just going to agree with, this is what my church say. This is what we're going to do because this is what my church said. According to this book, your church is off. So what you going to do, just be off so we can roll together? Somehow people just don't think the lake of fire has a big enough opening for all of them to go in at the same time.
See, the hole is so narrow in the lake of fire, all of us, we're going to get stuck in there, and we ain't going to be able to go all the way in there.
Yeah, you believe that if you want to. Go ahead.
For the Father seeketh such to worship him. Elohim is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
Elohim is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth, which means Yahweh may test you. Remember, there was a point where he said, I'm not going to even take all of these other nations, these Canaanite nations from among you, so I might prove whether or not you're going to serve me or not. There's some situations that Yahweh going to leave in your life. I ain't going to take all of them. Leave them there right there. Because I want to see if they going to serve me with that still going on in their life. It ain't like he asked you to give up your life. He just asked you to endure a little bit of Jake. Let's go to Luke chapter 18. And you have to understand, it says Yahweh is Elohim is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship in truth and in spirit. In Romans 8 and verse 5, it says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh. And for to be carnally minded is death. So you're going to run into a problem when Jake wants to push you back toward fleshly things, and you're not trying to deal with that. But it's a good spiritual exercise. It's good for you. Luke chapter 18, and let's read verses 18 through 30.
Verse 18. And a certain ruler asked him, saying, Good master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? And Yahshua said unto him, Why call you me good? None is good, save one, that is Elohim. You know the commandments: do not commit adultery, do not kill, do not steal, do not bear false witness, honor your father and your mother.
Now, hold on. First, let's start at verse 18. And a certain ruler asked him, saying, What shall I do to inherit eternal life? He never asked, What shall I do that I might go to heaven? See, this that new Sunday morning doctrine. See, this that new thing. After the Euro-Gentiles got a hold of this doctrine, they then put all of their gods inside of Christianity and threw it in there, and people are now dealing with that as it was always a part of this thought process that they were going to die and go to heaven. You can read this book and you can count the number of people who actually went to heaven on one hand. And guess what? They were living. One of them dead. And they want to tell you, yeah, my dead Uncle Joe, he in heaven right now. But King David ain't. But your Uncle Joe is. You talking about the one that didn't do nothing but drink, slip, more liquor, bull, and cuss everybody out? So he in heaven now? That's interesting. But King David ain't. And Yahweh used his seed to bring forth Christ. And we can read him in the resurrection, in the kingdom, but he's still dead and buried to this day. But your Uncle Joe in it. See, the flesh will make you do some of the dumbest things. Stuff don't make not a bit of sense, but that flesh will tell you, keep on going, don't worry about it. I know it's stupid. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And he said, all these have I kept from my youth up. Now when Yahshua heard these things, he said unto him, yet lacketh you one thing. Sell all that you have, and distribute unto the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven. And come, follow me.
Right. See, everybody think they would be followers of Christ. Well, he said, no, look, you can't have all of that stuff and follow me, because all of that stuff going to keep pulling you away from me. You won't follow me, get rid of that stuff, and come follow me. Go ahead.
And when he heard this, he was very sorrowful, for he was very rich.
Mm-hmm.
And when Yahshua saw that he was very sorrowful, he said, how hardly shall they that have riches enter into the kingdom of Elohim? For it is easier for a camel to go through a needle's eye than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of Elohim. And they that heard it said, who then can be saved? And he said, the things which are impossible with men are possible with Elohim. Then Cephas said, lo, we have left all and followed you. And he said unto them, verily I say unto you, there is no man that has left house, or parents, or brethren, or wife, or children, for the kingdom of Elohim's sake, who shall not receive manifold more in the present time, and in the world to come life everlasting.
Now, of course, people are going to ask you, why would you have left house or parents or brethren or wife to follow any word? When you start following this word, you ain't got to leave people. They gonna separate from you. Hey man, I used to be the life of the party. People didn't even plan the party. Now I was the first one on the list. People don't invite me to their parties no more, because I'm gonna speak this word when I get there. No, don't invite Sock. Don't invite Sock. Because here we go, man. We gonna be, be in our whole skirts, Then Sock gonna come over here. What that is? I can see your tank, Then they gonna be like, get Sock out of here. I'm gonna be the bummer in the party. So I don't get invited to parties no more. I've been to enough for a lifetime. My feelings not hurt. Okay. Let's go to Matthew chapter 19. But see, that's why my drive to follow my Elohim is so strong. Because I ain't had to do wickedness. Oh man, I did wickedness with both hands. I ain't have to do wickedness. So if I have to do the things in this word, Yahweh gonna know it. And no, man, I know what kind of effort you put into wickedness, bro. You stayed up all night to do wickedness. You were planning more wickedness. Well, maybe if I'm wicked like this, then I will be able to prosper like that. Yeah. So I'm planning it out. Ironing my outfits at night. You know what I'm saying? So, well, this brother got 2 or 3 outfits. Yeah, because just in case I get dirty when I do this wickedness, I got another outfit to put on right away. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yahweh know that. So if I come half doing it, he go, hey, Sock, I'm going to have to bust you, bro. Come on, man. I know the kind of effort you put in the rest of that stuff. Yahweh going to require the same. Did not he say I'm a jealous Elohim? You think he don't remember how you used to party? You think he don't remember all them things you used to do? Okay, well, where the effort at now? That jealous Elohim want to see that same effort. And we ain't no different. Go ahead. Where we at? Matthew 19. Read verses 28 through 30.
And Yahshua said unto them, verily I say unto you, that you which have followed me, in the regeneration when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, you also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And everyone that has forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first.
So we see that this is not some isolated thing that the Mashiach is talking about. But let's go deal with this on a deeper level. Let's go to Genesis chapter 22. See, Yahweh is not going to deal with hypocritical worship. And he's not going to ask you to do something that he's not going to do himself. Genesis chapter 22, and let's read verses 1 through 18.
Verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did tempt Abraham, and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now your son, your only son Esau, whom you loveth, and get you into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell you of.
Understand that the people who worship Baal, they actually did these child sacrifices all the time. So understand that there's no official law code at this point. And then he turns around and asks him to sacrifice his son. But he done gave him promises about this boy. Go ahead.
And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Esau his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went on to the place of which Elohim had told him.
Now, there are certain things you read, but there are certain things you have to think about that you didn't read. Verse 3, and Abraham rose up early. Ask somebody to go ahead, sacrifice your son.
Oh, no hell.
Rose up early? He rose up early to go follow and do what Yahweh told him to do. You don't think this grieving him? We be kicking and screaming and cussing and fussing the whole way, trying to figure out how we can get out of this. Go ahead.
Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide you here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you.
Mm-hmm.
And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering, and laid it upon Esau his son. And he took the fire in his hand, and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Esau spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, Elohim will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together.
Right. So he's asking, what offering? You the offering, boy. Yahweh will provide. Go ahead.
And he goes to show at a young age he knew.
He understood that there were certain things are supposed to be done and how they're supposed to be done. Go ahead.
And they came to the place which Elohim had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Esau his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood.
So we see that this is a process. This is just not this one move thing. This is taken first. He's got to go to this place. He's got to build the altar. He's got to do all of these things to do something that is very, very difficult for him to do in his heart. Go ahead.
He's talking about bonding. Don't think that the boy was just standing there.
Hey, it's a bad situation, you know. It's a real bad situation, bro. He knew that there was child sacrifice going on during them days as well. Go ahead.
And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do you anything unto him. For now I know that you feareth Elohim, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me.
Right. It says Yahweh Elohim is a spirit, and he seeketh such to worship him in spirit and in truth. So then he leads this man all the way down to see if he's going to follow him. Jake wouldn't do it. Go ahead.
And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered him up for a burnt offering instead of his son.
Uh-huh.
And Abraham called the name of that place Yahweh-Yireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of Yahweh it shall be seen. And the angel of Yahweh called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, By myself have I sworn, saith Yahweh, for because you have done this thing, and have not withheld your son, your only son, that in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and your seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice.
Now consider this. You have a man who has this son, and it seems as though he's not going to be very fruitful looking at the natural part of things. Then Yahweh asks him to offer up this very few of what he has. But then in obeying, he then tells him, I will multiply your seed. Now, he could have tried to hold on to this one and lost everything else. That's the difference between Jake and Israel. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4. As it is written, they of the flesh do mind the things of the flesh. They would have never been able to deal with the spiritual part of Yahweh is able to restore. Whatever Yahweh takes, he is able to restore back again. The flesh don't let you consider that. Flesh don't let you do that. It's hard for us to wrap that fleshly mind around Yahweh allowing Job's children to be taken away. But then he turned around and let him have all these other children. It's hard for us to wrap our heads around it. That's the limitations of the flesh. Exodus chapter 4, and let's read verses 21 through 23.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, When you go to return into Egypt, see that you do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in your hand. But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go.
Right. There are some people that you have to talk to. But Yahweh not going to cause them to listen. But that's not why you talking to them. For you to get them to accept the truth. Yahweh has already hardened their heart. Because they have stayed in that position for so long, Yahweh not going to let them repent. That's some people's judgment. That they can't repent. They've stayed in that position so long that they can't get out of it. They stuck in that gear. And no matter what happened, Yahweh going to let them stay in that gear so that righteous judgment can be shown. And it might be your job to speak it. See, when Yahweh gets you to speak the word, you don't know whether or not it's for righteous judgment or whether it's to get that person to be baptized under salvation. It ain't your job to try to figure it out either. You just speak the word. Whatever happens, that's what happened. Go ahead.
And you shall say unto Pharaoh, Thus saith Yahweh, Israel is my son, even my firstborn.
Israel is my son. Yahweh is letting you know we are called Israelites. We wouldn't call Yahwehites. Israel is my son. So when we understand what happened at that baptism, we understand that the spirit of Israel entered into Yahshua. That's when you heard the voice. This is my son in whom I'm well pleased. This is when you hear the whole thing about the son. Not when he was 12 at the temple. He didn't say that was his son. He didn't say that was his son until he got that baptism. So the same born again that he asked us to do, he did it too. He didn't ask you to do something that he wasn't going to do. He turned around and asked that man to give up his son. Why? Because he going to give up his. Right. Go ahead.
And I say unto you, Let my son go, that he may serve me. And if you refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay your son, even your firstborn.
If you refuse to let my son go and worship me, I will slay your son. See, this right here causes a problem, because there are a lot of people that having that fleshly connection, they refuse to let go. But Yahweh said, let my son go that he may serve me. And people don't understand the consequences of trying to fight against Yahweh. Let's go to Judges chapter 7. Judges chapter 7, and we're going to read verses 1 through 7. I probably should have gave that to you a long time ago.
Judges chapter 7 and verse 1. Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched beside the well of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them, by the hill of Moreh, in the valley. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, the people that are with you are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand has saved me.
Right, so Yahweh don't like the numbers. We are too much in favor. That's crazy. Never have you said, you think of somebody saying, nah, y'all gonna win this too easy. I don't like these odds. What I thought the purpose is to win, right? Yeah, but if you win by your numbers, you ain't gonna understand that I did it. See, Yahweh rather do great things with a remnant than all of these wonderful things with a bunch of people. Because he know that them people are justifying themselves because of their numbers. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Now therefore go to proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. And there returned of the people 22,000, and there remained 10,000.
22,000 people were scared. That's one of the things it starts talking about in this law, when it starts talking about going to war. Put those that are fearful away from you. Because what's going to happen is their fear is going to spread to everybody else, and then you're not going to be able to move forward. See, a fearful person will kill you before anybody else. And they keep talking about all these police shootings. Man, it's the police biggest cowards you ever ran into. They're scared, man. You shooting 7-year-old kids, 50-year-old man. Oh, he was a threat. 50-year-old dude in some church shoes, sliding all across the pavement. He was a threat to you. They bloodthirsty, and that fear is there. Man, they'll shoot you faster than anybody. You find somebody shaking with a pistol in their hand, you better stop moving. They may shoot you by accident just because they're shaking so much. He mean to pull the trigger. The fearful will cause you more problems than you could ever imagine. So, them the first people he getting rid of. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Gideon, the people are yet too many. Bring them down unto the water, and I will try them for you there. And it shall be, that of whom I say unto you, this shall go with you, the same shall go with you. And of whomsoever I say unto you, this shall not go with you, the same shall not go. So he brought them down. So he brought down the people onto the water. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, every one that lappeth of the water with his tongue, as a dog lappeth, him shall you set by himself. Likewise, every one that boweth down upon his knees to drink. And the number of them that lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into your hand. And let all the other people go, every man onto his place.
So we see that this is not a strange concept for Yahweh, as Yahweh is separating men. Yahweh is separating men, picking who he's going to allow to go and battle for him. Do understand that it is written about Yehuda that the tribe of Yehuda is his weapons and of war. He says, with you I will break in pieces these Gentiles and the heathen. But those are going to be weapons that are proven for war. Not just the fact that they are Yehuda. No, it's going to be the chosen ones of Yehuda after he has separated Israel and Jacob. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 6.
Isaiah chapter 6 and verse 1. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Adonai sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he did fly. And one cried unto another, and said, Holy, holy, holy is Yahweh of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the post of the door moved at the voice of him that cried.
Right. Yahweh has beasts that sit around the throne and say, holy, holy, holy all day. That ain't what he needs you for. And when you get right down to what our Sunday worship is all about, it's praise and worship, and people think that that's what it's like. He got beasts to do that. He don't need you to holler, holy, holy, holy. He got jobs that need to be done on the earth. He don't need you to just walk around and say, holy, 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 because you ain't going to do it right anyway. You're going to miss the rhythm. The angels going to go, them beasts going to go exact, holy, 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 holy. You're going to be holy, holy, holy. Man, that ain't right. It's holy, 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 holy. Come on, brothers, get with the rhythm. They not going to miss the rhythm. See, we're going to have to even worship and praise. That ain't what he called you for. You serve first. You can do all that worshiping and praising while you're doing your job. Israel sang while they were working. Now we just won't sing. No, that's not your job. It's not your job. Sing while you're working. Israel just fine singing. That ain't going to work. Go ahead.
And the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, Who is me? For I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For mine eyes have seen the King, Yahweh of hosts. Then flew one of the seraphims unto me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongs from off the altar. And he laid it upon my mouth, and said, Lo, this hath touched your lips, and your iniquity is taken away, and your sin purged. Also I heard the voice of the Adonai saying, Whom shall I send? And whom will go for us? Then said I, Here am I, send me. And he said, Go, and tell this people, Hear you indeed, but understand not, and see you indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed.
Right. The mistake is believing that Yahweh wants everybody to hear and be saved. That's the thing that's throwing everybody off. He said, no, let their ears be heavy, that they will not hear. So there are many people who have read this Bible 3 and 4 times over and don't understand nothing that's in it. Why that thing whooping you over there, Abel? Let's go to Exodus chapter 32. Exodus chapter 32, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Exodus chapter 32 and verse 1. And when the people saw that Moshe delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods.
Hey, Jake can't wait. Jake can't wait. Look, he didn't come down fast enough. Now make us a God. We need a God we can see. See? We need a God we can hold in our hand. I need me a pocket God. Jake needs something to, I need to feel this God. I need to be able to rub him when I get into trouble. That's what they do now. They grab that cross and rub him.
Help me out of this, Jesus.
Yeah, I know a guy you there one used to do it too. Go ahead.
Which shall go before us. For as for this Moshe, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we know not what is become of him.
We don't know what's become of him. He been gone too long. Now go ahead, let's make us some gods. Go ahead.
And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings, which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be your gods, O Israel, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt.
Now, they're going to make an Egyptian god and say that the Egyptian god brought them out of Egypt. If it's the Egyptian god, why he bring you out of Egypt? Man, people don't care, man. That flesh just needs something to hold on to. This is tradition now. See? Although it is the worship of a false deity, it's tradition. It's the tradition that they learned in captivity. What you think Sunday morning is? It's the tradition that we learned in captivity. The slave masters what sent us to church on Sunday. That's tradition. And we'll make tradition out of anything. All you got to do is do it more than 2 times.
This is a family tradition. Why we do it? I don't know. Stop asking all these questions.
That's what your family going to tell you. Start asking them questions. They don't even know why they do some of it. It don't matter. Once they call it tradition, it is what it is. Worshiping these golden images, this comes out of Egypt. They made a tradition out of it. Now they feel comfortable looking at their traditional gods. Even though it wasn't their gods, it was the god of their captors. Same thing we got here. We've been given the gods of the people who ruled over us. And we love it. See, we don't think about that. There are white churches that own black churches. That's how they got their start. And why they need so much money, they have to pay the big church that set them up. So they got to get a whole lot of money out of their people because a percentage of that goes to the white church that really set them up. People don't really think about stuff like that. Go ahead.
You know, even in this, when you look at who is actually fashioning this thing, it's Aaron. Should have known better. The man with the PhD.
Right. He should have known better. But you see what happened when you let feelings get involved. See, you have to be able to, because I'll tell you something about Israel. When Israel get together, Israel's a scary bunch. That's why Yahweh had to tell them prophets, look, don't you be afraid of the looks on their faces. Don't be afraid on the looks on their face. They gonna scare you with the looks on their faces. When me and that brother went to the prison, it was some mean looking brothers up in there. And it's funny because that thing popped right in my head. Don't you be afraid of the looks on their faces. Because there was some brothers in there had ear muscles. I mean, these brothers had muscles everywhere. I was like, look at his ears. He can just hit me with an ear and just knock me out. Pow! I mean, this brother was ripped up. And that was the meanest looking brother there. He was looking, mouth all tight. Like, I said, hey, Kish,
Tell my family I love them, brother.
But I'm finna do this word, though. You know, if it go down, it's finna go down. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast to Yahweh. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play.
So they're going to make a pagan god and then have a feast to Yahweh. Same thing they do today. They bring a pig in and say, it's the resurrection of Christ. With a pig? Right. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Go, get you down, for your people which you brought up to the out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them.
Quickly. It didn't take long. It don't take Jake long to get back into his flesh. It don't take long. Go ahead.
They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be your gods, O Israel, which have brought you out of the land of Egypt.
Okay, now, the jealous Elohim is now ticked off, because now the credit for bringing them out of Egypt has now been given to a false god. See, this is that thing where you have people who going to worship their God. They're going to do all of those things. But then here comes situation and circumstance happen, and they want you to pray for them. But guess what? If I do that, and Yahweh does turn around and help them, you think they're going to say, thank you, Yahweh? No, they ain't. Thank you, Jesus. That's what they're going to say. So now my jealous Elohim is now looking, Sock, what happened, brother? Why they thinking Jesus? And I already know they're going to thank Jesus. So what we're going to do is, you need some help? I'll help you. I'll do anything you need. You call me, I'm going to come help you. But that prayer thing, you pray to your own God. Because I might pray to my God and get folk in more trouble. Because Yahweh turn around and help you, and then you turn around and give that credit to Jesus, you might end up in a worse situation than you were before. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, I have seen this people, and, behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of you a great nation. And Moshe besought Yahweh his Elohim, and said, Yahweh, why does your wrath wax hot against your people, which you have brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, For mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from your face for fierce wrath, and repent of this evil against your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Yisrael, your servants, to whom you sweareth by your own self, and said unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And Yahweh repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. And Moshe turned and went down from the mount, and the 2 tables of the testimony were in his hand. The tables were written on both their sides. On the one side and on the other were they written.
Now, he's gotten Yahweh to stop from destroying them. And this is what people, and I hear people, and they talk about how Moshe did not destroy or allow himself to be puffed up, and Moshe did such and such. There's a part of this story that for some reason people just don't remember this other part. Keep reading.
And the tables were the work of Elohim, and the writing was the writing of Elohim, graven upon the tables. And when Yahshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moshe, There's a noise of war in the camp. And he said, It is not the noise of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as he came near unto the camp, that he saw the calf, and the dancing, and Moshe's anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables out of his hands, and brake them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made, and burned it in the fire, and ground it to powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink of it.
For some reason, people don't remember that part now. They just remember Moshe standing in the breach. They don't remember him beating this thing, grinding the powder, and said, Drink it! I hope it's bitter! Right, they don't remember that part of the story. So they remember Moses he was so nice. There are parts of this that people don't remember. Moshe done ordered death for people. They don't remember that part, though. Go ahead.
And Moshe said unto Aaron, What did this people unto you, that you have brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, Let not the anger of my master wax hot. You know it, the people, that they are set on mischief.
Right, you know the people. See, this is why Yahweh had to tell his prophets, do not be afraid of the people. Go ahead.
For they said unto me, Make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moshe, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we know not what is become of him. And I said unto them, whosoever has any gold, let them break it off. So that they gave it me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf.
Yeah, I just put it in the fire, and the calf came out. It gave birth to this calf. Right. Go ahead.
And when Moshe saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies, then Moshe stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on Yahweh's side?
This is the part that people don't remember.
Let
Go
him
ahead.
come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, thus saith Yahweh Elohim of Israel, put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from the gate, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor.
People don't remember that part. Go ahead.
And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moshe, and there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men.
Right. Because blood must be shed to make an atonement for sin, and he had the Levites to do it. So they didn't see that sacrifice that happened. For some reason, they just remember, all people remember out of that story is Moshe stood in the breach. Yeah, and then he also turned around and killed about 3,000 of them. You remember that part? That's Israel and Jake. Israel had to fight Jake. Because Jake ain't going to follow none of this word. Y'all better start looking at it like it's something, something. Oh, that was so deep what they had to do back then. You better get ready. Your turn coming. You think Jake just going to stand by? No, Jake going to put his twisted beliefs right in your face. It's going to be Israel versus Jake all over again. That's the reason this stuff is in this book. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 13. Zechariah 13, and let's start that at verse 1.
In that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirits to pass out of the land. And it shall come to pass that when any shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, you shall not live, for you speaketh lies in the name of Yahweh. And his father and his mother that begat him shall thrust him through when he prophesied. And it shall come to pass in that day that prophets shall be ashamed every one of his vision when he has prophesied, neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive. But he shall say, I am no prophet, I am an husbandman, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. And one shall say unto him, what are these wounds in your hands? Then he shall answer, those with which I was wounded in the house of my friends.
So we see that this is already dealing with the Mashiach before the Mashiach has even been presented here on the earth. Go ahead.
Awake, O sword, against my shepherd and against the man that is my fellow, saith Yahweh of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones.
Right, and we've watched these things. We've watched fulfillment of these things. Right, when our elder died, we watched bad leader after bad leader come in and switch and change all kinds of things, but still talking about the man like they was going on one accord with what my elder set up, and was tearing it down bit by bit. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, because they turning their hands on those little ones, which are those that are trying to follow this word. But those things happen, and those things make you grow. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Yahweh, two parts there end shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein.
2 parts thereof shall be cut off and die. See, this is the part that we don't want to deal with. That Yahweh is dealing with a remnant. This 2/3, all of Israel is not Israel. Go ahead.
And I'll bring the third part through the fire,
Uh-huh.
and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried.
Mm-hmm.
They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh is my Elohim.
Keep going.
Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, and your spoil shall be divided in the midst of you. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the house rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall Yahweh go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east.
Right, the same thing that the New Testament says. You men, why stand you up into heaven gazing? This same Yahshua whom you have seen left shall return in the same manner. And then it says in the book of Acts, he left from the mount called Olivet. So the same place he left from is the same place he returning to. Go ahead.
And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south.
Right. All right, let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 20. See, there's so much of this Israelite pep rally stuff going on that people are not really getting that this whole fleshly breakdown of tribes is not what Yahweh is dealing with. They don't understand that it's greater than that. Our fathers was natural Israel, and it caused them to be puffed up about Yahweh's word. Oh, this city is the cauldron, and we be the flesh. So he can't do away with us because he made promises to us. So we thought that we had Yahweh pinned in a corner. You don't know Yahweh's word like Yahweh know his word. So we didn't get that whole part. Well, wait a minute. So you can kill us off and just bring the kids?
Oh, we didn't understand that.
Right. That what happened. That what being smart get you. We so smart that we can have do it and we ain't got to worry about it because we know he made a promise and he ain't gonna break his promise. Yeah, but you don't understand the word like he do. Ezekiel chapter 20, and let's start that at verse 30.
Wherefore say you unto the house of Israel, thus said the Adonai Elohim, are you polluted after the manner of your fathers, and commit you whoredom after their abominations? For when you offer your gifts, when you make your sons to pass through the fire, you pollute yourselves with all your idols, even unto this day. And shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Israel?
Right. Go ahead.
As I liveth, said the Adonai Elohim, I will not be inquired of by you.
That's why people want you to pray for them. You go pray to your God for me. Because, you know, I have abominable practices. So you go to your God and pray to him for me. Because Yahweh ain't going to be inquired of by them. And they know it. But they're not going to stop their abominable practices. Go ahead.
And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all, that you say, we will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries, to serve wood and stone.
Right. Wood is that cross. The stone is the asteroid that fell from heaven. Their holiest site in Islam is the Dome of the Rock. The things that's got us turned over backwards the most is those two religions, Christianity and Islam. And we were slaves to both. And we don't know that. See, people are always telling you about this one slave trade, but they don't tell you about the other one. We were slaves to those people too. So then we take on the gods and the ways of our captors, and then we take it as if it is our own. what they call that syndrome where the people fall in love with their captors? Stockholm syndrome. Don't hurt master. Don't hurt you. Why you don't do that to master? No, I love him. He let me read it, everything. Right. Master done gave us a religion, and we fighting for it. We fighting to keep it. And the biggest problem you're going to have is Jake. You ain't going to have no problem out of them Gentiles. Them Gentiles, your biggest problem going to be the people who look just like you. Them Gentiles ain't studying you for what? They like, look, they're going to kill themselves. Why should we even need to fight them? Just let them go. They ain't worry about us. Just look at them. Your biggest problem going to be people who look just like you. Because Jake going to fight harder for master stuff than master here. You don't believe me? Go get a check and try to cash it at a black bank. At a bank. It can be Bank of America in the black side of town. Go to two banks. Go to a bank on same branch now, because I don't want you to think that it's different. That you went to a Wells Fargo over here and you went to a Bank of America. No, I want you to try both of them. Go to one in the white folk neighborhood and see how fast they cash your check. They cashed my check so fast I got dizzy. Hi! They looked like they were so happy. I was like, what? Wow. Go to a black bank.
Let me see your ID. You got some more ID? What about is your mom at home? Let me call her.
What the hell? What all you need to cash this check?
Well, let me see. I need to see another form of ID.
You got two of them now.
Hold on. Let me call the manager.
What?
The custodian got to come by and look at my check. Yeah, it's clean. I swept it.
What the hell, man? Cash the check. Jake act like the money theirs. You just work here, boo-boo. That's not your money. But see, that's how they train Jake. So you gonna have more problems out of Jake than anybody else. Man, the white folk had my check so fast. I said, look at this. That's why we all the time going out our neighborhood. See, people say you should shop in the black side of town. We tried, but they got like 2 cans of beans, 1 bag of rice. They like, man, why y'all ain't got nothing in here? You go right down the street, you go over here, they got stacks of cans of beans, rice stacked up. Hey, man, so y'all done ship nothing to this store over here? Or sometimes you got to shop over there at Sugarloaf, over there where they live. You shop at Sugarloaf, they got all that stuff at Sugarloaf. And you go to Panola, man, you're going to have to divvy up the rice. You get 1 rice. You get 1 rice. Did you just open up the bag and pull out one? 1 rice, cook it slow. Here go 1 rice. Man, come on, man. Right. Go ahead, brother. Ezekiel chapter 20.
Verse 33. As I live, saith the Adonai Elohim, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you.
Right. But see, this causes a problem to Jake because Jake has been told that Yahweh is this really nice God. He's just so nice, he ain't never mad at nobody. Well, see, this is going to cause a problem. Jake don't want to be ruled over because Jake don't like rules. See? Jake think the 10 Commandments are 10 suggestions. See, Jake don't think remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. They don't think the 4th commandment actually applies to them. See? Go ahead.
And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out.
I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered. Israel was scattered into those countries. All these other people, especially you got a lot of these brothers who love that tribal chart, but those people wasn't scattered. They wasn't scattered there. It's a difference. If you had a passport, you wasn't scattered. You went there on your own. We ain't come here by our own. We ain't got no tickets. Cargo don't need tickets. It's a difference. And when it comes down to us having to go to the upcoming hell that we got going on, let's see how many people join on to us and go with us. All these people who claim they're Israel. Let's see how many Julio you see jump on the back. We going with El Negro. Let's see if they go with El Negro. I bet you they now. We no go el negro. They look like very hard. Right? They ain't going with you. Let's see if they get on now. Everybody claim they Israel. Let's see how many Native Americans go. We go with the black man. Right? I ain't going with you. Right? But everybody claim they Israel. They got this nice little cute Israel chart. Let's see how many of them go with you. Go ahead.
Verse 35. And I'll bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face.
I'm going to bring you in the wilderness of the people. The same thing that happened to our fathers before. They had to go through the wilderness to come out, and Yahweh going to do the same thing again. He going to bring us in out of all the countries. We are so-called minorities in every country wherein he scattered us. All we think about is here. There's more of us in South America than it is here. But Yahweh spread us so thin that we're a minority in every place we go. You watch the Olympics and people look like they live down the street. They just speak Spanish. They look just like you. Yeah, look, they're going to Pookie Johnson. That's Pookie. He over there. Whoa. He look like Pookie. But he don't talk like Pookie. Them your people. Right. Yahweh got us all across the globe. That way, we wouldn't get in one place and take it over. This is supposed to be punishment. So he makes sure that your power didn't get so high that you start ruling over your oppressors. Go ahead.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith the Adonai Elohim, and I'll cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant.
I will bring you into the bond of the covenant, so you're going to understand these rules and regulations. What does the new covenant say? I will write my laws and my statutes in their heart. We find that in the Old Testament and the New Testament. The same thing. But Jake not going to follow no rules. So Jake going to have to be part of that 2/3 that get killed off. Go ahead.
And I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I'll bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and you shall know that I am Yahweh.
Yes, I will purge out from among them the rebels. So, Jake gonna come out with Israel, but Jake ain't going in with Israel. Jake gonna come out of the countries just like everybody gotta come out of the countries. Yahweh gonna cause us to be driven out of all these countries. But Jake not going into Israel. Jake gonna get killed off before he go into Israel. So let every man be convinced in his own heart. Let every man make a decision whether or not he's going to strive to be Israel or whether you just content being Jake. That's all that we're gonna do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.